This is my randomology, and today we're logging back in. So we got a new Matrix movie coming out, which means that it is my solemn duty to go back and rewatch the original Matrix, which I have not actually sat down to watch in full. Probably in about 20 years, maybe 18 years, on the conservative side. Man, this movie was such a trip when it came out. I remember going to theater to go watch it. I remember everybody wanted to know what the Matrix was. I had a friend who was convinced that it was aliens. That turned out to not be the case. But still, you know, this movie definitely influenced everything. So I'm wondering how it holds up, you know, with everything else going on. I mean, last time I saw this movie, just sitting down to watch it from beginning to end, might have been before I went to college. You know, okay, since then I've got 2 degrees, a wife, a kid, a career, a couple decades under the belt. So I don't know what else to say. Let's get to it. I very much remember sitting down to watch this movie and just feeling like an exhilaration, like I was experiencing something new and different, and just I don't know. I really do like this kind of graphics when it comes to, like, well, graphics. You know, there's a lot of movies and shows that just go way overboard on the design, and it is overwhelming. In the real world, it really would look just this simple, just simple fonts, not a lot of color even. You know, I know there's a green tint in the film whenever they're in the Matrix, but this looks a lot less green than I think I remember. Love that shot so much. It's such a simple effect, but it just blew everybody's mind when we first saw it. It's all the little whooshes as they're moving that do seem a little outdated now. If I remember correctly, these are the same rooftops they used to film some of Dark City. That was another amazing 90s sci-fi movie, which is completely spoiled by the opening narration. Yeah, all the little whooshes as they just move do make it seem a little bit cartoony in hindsight. I guess, you know, a couple years of John Wick movies and things like The Raid kind of spoiled me in that regard. But yeah, it's a style. It's definitely a style. Definitely sets the tone for what kind of action to expect. Okay, the video in this part is definitely more green than a couple of the first shots. Payphones. I wonder what they're going to do in the new movie about, you know, payphones, and landlines and things like that. Oh my god, the monitor. Those keyboards, I could never use those keyboards. My hands are all over the place when I'm typing. Now, what are the odds, realistically, that he was going to turn around and he was going to see that tattoo? Yeah, it's the question that drove us to the theaters. Yep, fast-paced environment.
I probably only do about 15 minutes of real, actual work.
Ah, those old phones. Yeah, I got a thing with heights. No, not even if you put a gun to my head. Not gonna do it. Oh no! Oh no! Yeah, I always did wonder, how is he supposed to get around that? Like, what? Hugo Weaving is one of the only few people on Earth that can make a line like that sound just completely sinister. There's such a neo-noir look to all this too that I absolutely love. I mean, the aesthetics also very cyberpunk, but there's a lot more like noir than cyberpunk at this point, I think.
Listen to me, Coppertop. We don't have time for 20 questions.
I think it's maybe the second time I saw the movie that I realized why she called him Copper Top. God, it's just like up high shots and things like this. I think part of what makes this movie work as opposed to the sequels is that we're a little under a quarter into the movie, but it does feel very grounded. Like everybody's felt lost. Everybody's felt like there was something that they were missing. There's been some weird supernatural stuff, but it's very much just a story about, yeah, it's a guy. He's a guy at this point. Nothing too crazy, which I think helps balance out some of the craziness later. Like it makes this feel more real. Given that this is basically a trans allegory based on the writers and directors, it's really very infuriating that this whole thing has been kind of co-opted by MRAs and the red pills and all that stuff. Again, you should take a literature class or an English class at some point at the college level to understand, this whole literary analysis thing. Because, geez, the way people misuse symbols and things like that, and see something like this and kind of completely miss the point. This is so analog. I love it. I love tech like this. It's just like stuff like that. Just physical things. Yeah, I am so sick and tired of transparent screens and the holograms and all these things. Just yeah. Oh, and this right here, this is where just like the slow realization of what's going on. I always did wonder about that though. Like, was it the machine just like flushing him because he got defective and he woke up? Like, is that what they thought happened, or? Whoever was running this thing on the ship just was pretending they were playing a claw game. I mean, at this point in the movie, like we all had a vague understanding of what exactly was going on, but at the same time, like we really didn't know what was going on. When every trailer said no one can be told what the Matrix is, you have to see it for yourself, I kind of thought that it was, just something to get people in there, but at the same time, it really is the kind of thing you need to see. And I'm so happy that the trailers did not spoil this. I mean, it is so hard. So it's so hard to keep things under wraps these days.
Is it really so hard to believe?
Yes, it is.
25,000 BTUs of body heat. Combined with a form of fusion, the machines have found all the energy they would ever need.
Despite the fact that as an energy producer, the human body, in fact, most biologicals are highly inefficient.
Where human beings are no longer born. We are grown.
Like the amount of energy needed just to do this. It's something that I remember when the sequels were going to be were announced. I and a lot of other people were really wondering, are we going to get the real reason that humans are kept alive in this state? Because as batteries, we suck. Like it's they say that they have a form of fusion, but then they also need us. Like there's no contest. This is really the first time in the movie that we're just getting an info dump like this. Everything else up until now, it's been part of the plot. It's been part of him discovering it. He hasn't really been told a lot. We've actually seen most of it, which is refreshing. Always show, don't tell. I know I probably look like I'm a little bored. I'm not. I'm still enjoying this. This is still really, really good. But I just had 7 hours of lectures. So I'm already pretty drained.
I'm going to learn jujitsu.
No, stay away from jujitsu. I just did a video on jujitsu. You don't want jujitsu. God, this fight is so good too. Just there's longer shots. There's like, you can tell that it's Fishburne and Reeves in a lot of them.
Stop trying to hit me and hit me.
I love Mouse. I'm actually really sad that he gets killed off. This is really wonderfully lit, actually. The cold background of the two of them just have this very subtle, warm light on the two of them.
I said no. Killing machine designed for one thing.
That would be the killing machine part. This still looks really good, but the CGI has definitely aged a little bit. I mean, it still looks really good though, but yeah, it's definitely a 90s computer graphic.
System in the blast radius. It's the only weapon we have against the machine.
Well, that and a lot of machine guns as we see in the sequels. So yeah, the only weapon aside from the giant machine guns. There's something so simple also about a fade out like that. I don't recall the sequels having anything like that. It was just so stylized. There's all these little moments in this first movie that just feel real and grounded, and like this right here, even this. This scene was always kind of weird because the way he's looking at it, it's like he's never seen it before, and yet he has to have been awake for at least a few days, maybe a couple of weeks based on the length his hair's grown. You don't have to be so literal about it. Yeah, pretend you didn't see the camera guy in that shot. You know, this is something I always did wonder in the sequels too. Like, what happened to all these potential kids that, you know, could do all this? I mean, the implication is that obviously he's not the only one because they have to check all of them. What is it about that line in this little moment that is? I mean, I know why. I mean, just we're seeing this, and it's a movie, and they're acting, but within it, they're also realizing that the things that they're doing are actually also a simulation and pretend and all these other things.
What's really going to bake your noodle later on is, would you still have broken it if I hadn't said it?
This is really what makes this first movie so much better than the sequels, I think. They show a lot of this stuff. Like, they could have just talked about, you know, a predestination paradox or all these other different things, but instead they just show it to you. Also, her performance is awesome. Enough for a joke that took me 12 years to get. He's talking to a program, and he just accepted cookies. I am really dense sometimes. Or, you know what? No, that was just a really subtle joke. It was a very well done joke. There's something weird that happens whenever they're in the Matrix and they have the sunglasses and all that stuff. Like, their acting gets a lot stiffer. Like, it gets probably the worst in the sequels, but even in this first one, I don't know what it is, but like the acting, it just doesn't feel right. I don't know. It's because they're supposed to be emulating the agents. It's like a metaphor for them kind of becoming, you know, their digital selves. I don't know, but no, I don't like it.
No, sir, I don't like it.
Again, it's such a simple scene. I mean, they're right there, but he's talking to them in the digital world, and I don't know. There's nothing like super fancy about it. I'm trying to figure out why I dislike the sequel so much, and I think a scene like this is it. Like, there's actual like human emotion. There's an actual something relatable, just that frustration, and it's being portrayed through the lens of this world. Like, you know, he's talking to them in the digital world, even though they're right there, which makes for kind of a creepy, weird scene. But at the same time, again, grounded. I always thought that little facial expression she did right when she got unplugged was really, really good. I mean, it really sold the fact that just kind of, you know, the lights went out. No, no, you won't. You're actually going to be dead by the sequel. Meanwhile, at Evil Co. Is the movie getting greener as we're going along? Like, I feel like it's getting greener.
I know that's what it looks like, but it's not. I can't
I mean, no, it actually is going to be suicide. You actually are going to die. But you're going to be brought back by the power of friendship. That line has never made any sense to me. I also realized I haven't really been speaking a lot through this last third of the movie just because it really is so engaging. Alright, let's go kill some civilians. Yeah, there's a lot of unfortunate implications with what they have to do here with these guards that I think it's glossed over, and I think it really should have been addressed. And here's the movie's guitar solo. And not a spot of dust on either of them. That is very pretty. Also, great cleaning staff that moved all the bodies out.
find them and destroy them.
Why is that so funny, them just standing there? I know this is the scene. This is the scene that changed everything, but two things. One, I can't not notice the fact that all the bodies disappeared, and two, Blade did it first. That is some fantastic aim not hitting Morpheus. And these guards were just standing out there while the inside was chain gun. Yeah, I'm not saying a lot. I'm not saying a lot during this last part just because it just I don't know if it's a combination of just the nostalgia for like movies like this or how good it is, how real it feels. That's something actually that I'm thinking about why the sequels did not work for me, and part of it is that there's enough like practical and simple and just there's so many little things in this movie that make it feel real. I don't know how else to explain it. Nice glitch. Can we have this conversation in the real world in literally just 5 seconds? 5 seconds, that's all we need. Yeah, even like some of the other scenes, like just this fight has a weight to it. Like it's not super saturated with CGI. I mean, obviously there's some wire work and some stuff like that, but it feels heavy. Like I can tell that's Hugo Weaving, that's Keanu Reeves, like they're fighting each other. Like little, martial arts, little whoosh as they're fighting. It still feels a lot more real and a lot more solid than having them replaced by CGI or all these other things. I mean, even the wire work feels tame and grounded compared to some of the other movies. This right here, just the little shaky cam, it's not smooth. Like, I don't like shaky cam, but in this case, I think it really sells just the desperation of what's going on. Okay, now we're getting to the part of the movie where I think it fell too deep into that cliche of a fairy tale, because our man Neo here is about to get shot easily like 12 times, and what brings him back? The power of friendship. God mode unlocked. That's how. I totally messed the joke up. Oh my god. A friend of mine used to work at the radio station at DePaul University, and one day he came in with the soundtrack for Matrix Reloaded, I think is the direct sequel. And I was just so excited because I remember watching this scene and just thinking like, man, where are they going to take it from here? What's next? Like, what exactly are we going to be working with? And it is something that doesn't exactly match this song being used. All right, let's talk about it. I know it looks like my eyes are bloodshot, but I have something in my eye and I've been trying to get it for the last half hour. Well, that was The Matrix. It still holds up. It still is a very good movie. There's a few things that, even when it came out, I wanted to nitpick. The ending with, I know it's an inversion of the Prince Charming and Sleeping Beauty or Snow White. I get that, but given everything else that was happening, that just seemed to kind of pop out. That's probably the biggest one. The special effects still look really, really good. There's a few things that even in 1999 I questioned, like the bodies just disappeared. But overall, this movie is so good. I'm gonna pretty much stop it there. I see absolutely no reason to see the sequels. No, really, I see no reason to see the sequels. Please don't make me do this.